All right, everybody. Welcome back into Tavern Takes. I know we've been MIA for a little bit, but this weekend things are going to start ramping up again. We're going to be doing 2 pods this weekend on Friday and Saturday. I don't know if we'll be going live or not, but they will definitely be posted for people to listen to on Spotify and or YouTube. We're going to be doing basically our giant NFL preview this weekend. The reason everyone's been so busy is I'm prepping for my second child to be born pretty much at any given moment at this point. Sawyer has a baby on the way shortly after mine's supposed to be born, and Josh is getting married literally the same week that my second child is due and Sawyer's first child is due. So we've been a little busy, but going to kind of get back in the swing of things here with football starting back up. Look for me to do some college football stuff. I know I said I was going to do some college football previews. I really just ran out of time with work and other stuff. I'm going to do a mini college football preview today. We'll go through the AP top 25 and I'll give you my thoughts. My Brewers take, because that turned out to be potentially the worst take on planet Earth. So I'm here to face the music on that. And then I'm going to dive into a little NFL stuff too. Mainly going to be some Seahawks stuff. Kind of want to talk about my team a little bit before we do the preview, because I don't want to spend too much time on my own team when we do those previews this weekend. So let's get right into her. I'm going to eat crow on my Brewers take right now. I could not have been more wrong. And to those of you who know me, that is no shock. I had friends literally create a Twitter account called Cold COLD takes. This team's just a wagon, man. Like I don't know what to say. Like 2 10-game win streaks since June 17th. I believe they are 37-9 since June 17th. The next closest team has 30 wins. It's just nuts what they're doing. I am still skeptic about October, and I think that's not just me. I think that's most any Brewers fan that would be skeptic the way, it's gone in recent years in October since 2018. It's tough to have optimism when you kind of see the same thing over and over again. However, this year I feel like is a little different. They haven't won to this level in the regular season. So I don't know. Like, I'm cautiously optimistic about what this team can do in October. I want to believe it's different. They're certainly not finishing third in the division. If they finish second in the division, it's going to be a colossal collapse. So I don't foresee that happening. This team's just really damn good. They do all the little things so well. They got Joe Nobody, Isaac Collins, Andrew Vaughn, Caleb Durbin. They just got all these guys that just keep stepping up, and you think like, oh, eventually like it's going to run out, but it just doesn't run out, and these guys just keep producing with timely hitting. And the Cubs lost today, so I want to say that division lead is 8. I don't know what else more I can say. Pitching's been phenomenal. Bullpen's been a little shaky recently. The back end's great with McGill and Abner Uribe. Shelby Miller kind of got teed off of yesterday, and so did Nick Mears. But overall, Mears has been pretty stable. I really like what I've seen from DL Hall recently. So You just hope we got enough at the back end, and enough starting pitching. Everyone was kind of worried when they pulled Woody after 4 innings, but it was a planned short start, so there's nothing to that other than it's his first day, I believe, on 4 days rest. So I don't look too much into that. But again, team's a wagon. We'll see what happens in October. I don't have much to say on the Brewers until then, because at this point, win the division, should have the best record in baseball for home field. But even if they don't and they still manage to win the division, it's, they're still going to probably have a first round bye no matter what. So with that, we will quickly move on to the NFL, because I'm going to end this pod with college football. I kind of want to gush over the Seahawks a little bit. Torrey Horton, most of you don't know the name. You're going to know it by about week 3. Dude's a stud. He's a 5th-round pick out of Colorado State. I'd like to give a shout-out to podcast member Sawyer. He was on this before I was. He has him in like 3 different fantasy leagues. Torrey Horton went from like 3rd-string receiver to basically getting all reps with our ones in a matter of a couple weeks. And he had a really good first preseason game. And I just think he's going to be really good. By really good, I mean, I'll say it, I think he's going to be the best rookie receiver in the NFL this year. So I lead with that. And I think, Darnold's looked pretty good. The defense is going to be loaded. Greg Rosenthal from NFL Today said that the Seahawks their floor is a top 10 defense and their ceiling is a number 1 defense in the NFL. And it gets me all hot and bothered, but we'll see. I really like where our team is headed. I have a lot more optimism than I've had in past years. Obviously, the floor could fall out if Darnold is a bum, but we'll hope that he isn't. We'll hope that he plays like he did last year. All signs in camp show he's been pretty good against what is at bare minimum a top 10 defense in the NFL. All right, let's get into some college football real quick. Since I said I wasn't going to do my preview, or said I was going to do my preview and then ended up not doing it. But we're going to touch on the AP Top 25 real quick that just came out earlier this week. You got Texas at number 1. Arch Manning is, I'm not going to say the season is going to go as Arch goes, because their defense is absolutely filthy. That defense gives them a floor of 10 wins, honestly. So if Arch is half of what you expect him to be, Texas is your national champion this year. They're going to be very good. Number 2 is Penn State. And I sigh and take a deep breath with Penn State, because James Franklin, year in and year out, wins 10 games, but he can't beat Michigan and he can't beat Ohio State. Now, Michigan's down right now, so I guess they're kind of I'm not going to say they're a non-factor in the Big Ten this year, but they will not be, I don't think, in the top 5 in the Big Ten this year. Drew Aller is a stud. Drew Aller could be, if he has a good enough year, he could be your first overall pick. There's about 4 or 5 different quarterbacks, whether Arch decides to come out or not. His grandpa said he's going to return for his senior year at Texas. And I don't doubt that, because Arch isn't chasing money. Arch is chasing to be as good as he can be. And the longer he's in college, I think the better off for him. So if he doesn't come out, Drew Aller is easily one of your top 4 quarterbacks. if Penn State can put it together this year, I mean, it's national championship or bust for them. Like, there's no two ways about it. James Franklin's had ample amount of time to put a roster together to prove he can beat the elite of the elite, and every year he fails to do it. So that's why I sighed when I brought up Penn State at number 2. I think they're a little overrated. Overrated in the terms of I don't trust their coach. The talent is definitely there for them to win a national championship. And Franklin probably doesn't get fired if he doesn't win a national championship. But if they don't get to the semifinal or the championship, I think his seat gets a little hot because Penn State's got all the resources, man. Number 3 is Ohio State. The only reason I am skeptical with Ohio State at 3 is they don't. It's an unknown at quarterback, but Julian Sayin should be pretty good. I mean, he's throwing to Jeremiah Smith, who is the best talent in the country. He would be a starter on 30 teams or 28, 30 teams in the NFL. Outside of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, I'm not sure there's a better wide receiver in football right now. So that's how good Jeremiah Smith is. Their defense is going to be good. They reload every year. I like what they have. It's just a matter of, can Julian Sayin do what Will Howard did last year, which isn't really that high of a bar, but if he can, Ohio State's definitely a contender again. Number 4 is Clemson. I touched on them in an earlier preview. They bring back 2 stud receivers and Brian Wesco and TJ Moore. And Cade Klubnik is another one of those quarterbacks that I just touched on that could be the number 1 overall pick next year. Filthy defense, weapons out wide. If Dabo can't do it this year, might be time to look past Dabo if you're Clemson. Hasn't exactly done it the last couple of years. So next is Georgia at 5. Georgia kind of brings in a new quarterback in Gunnar Stockton. He played in the playoffs last year and the SEC championship. It's same old with Georgia. That defensive line is loaded. The defense is loaded. They got skill positions everywhere. They got 5 stars falling out of their pockets. You know, you kind of just trust Georgia to win 10 games and get to the playoff in an expanded playoff. 6 is Notre Dame. They're going to be bringing in CJ Carr, freshman quarterback. Notre Dame's got a lot of talent from last year. They're bringing back. I expect Notre Dame to. It'd be a crying shame if they don't make the playoffs. 7 at Oregon. Oregon's an interesting one. Dante Moore, who committed to Oregon, decommitted, went to UCLA, played a little bit at UCLA, wasn't very impressive, left UCLA to go back to Oregon last year. He now takes over for Dylan Gabriel. So we'll see. I mean, that Oregon offense is high-powered. He's going to have weapons everywhere. Hopefully he can live up to expectation. If Dante Moore can live up to expectation, Oregon's going to be a force once again. 8 is Alabama. Alabama starts a new quarterback. Wisconsin's got him. The quarterback stuck around for the last 3 to 4 years. I'm dropping the ball on his name. Ty Simpson. Never could beat out Milroe or the other guys. So we'll see what he's actually got. But Alabama kind of hoping he can be the guy. I'll tell you what, if they go 9-3 again, the head coach, who also is Kalen DeBoer, is going to be absolutely on the hot seat. Alabama don't take no less than 10-2. So 9-3 ain't going to cut it. LSU at 9 is a complete SEC dark horse. They got talent everywhere out wide in the backfield. Garrett Nussmeier is the third of those 4 quarterbacks that, if they have a good year, could really vault himself to the number 1 overall pick. He's an absolute gunslinger. I need LSU to take a step forward on defense. If they can't manage that, then the whole conversation around LSU is null and void. Brian Kelly needs to get to the playoff this year. If he doesn't, his seat's very warm as well. 10 is Miami. I went over them in a previous podcast. They got Carson Beck from Georgia. They have arguably top 5 offensive line, top 5 defensive line. The trenches are great. It's what Carson Beck they get, whether he's consistent or not. 11 is Arizona State. Arizona State was a great story last year. Kenny Dillingham's a hell of a coach. They had a lot of close games last year, and they lose Cam Scatterbo. But their quarterback is going to be very good. Whose name? Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt's going to be very good. He's a Heisman contender. A lot of pro scouts like him too. Apparently, he showed out at camps this summer. If they got the talent, they got the coaching. It's a matter of they had a lot of 1-score games last year. Can they pull those out again this year? Illinois at 12 is very high for my liking, but Bielema is a good coach. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. Luke Altmaier, third year in that system, could be a breakout quarterback, but there's a lot of they took 3 Wisconsin defensive starters and I don't know. It's Illinois at 12 seems wild, but as I go down this list, you'll understand why it's wild, because there's just after the top 10, college football's kind of wide open this year. And I mean, even in the top 10, it's wide open, but there's definitely a drop off after the top 10. 13 is South Carolina. I cannot scream this loud enough. Lenoris Sellers is the quarterback for South Carolina. What you need to understand is the dude can run like crazy, super athletic, and has shown glimpses of being able to throw the ball pretty consistently. If this dude can complete 70% of his passes, sky's the limit. I'll say right now, he's your number 1 pick. If he balls out this year, it's Lenoris Sellers, because he's got the highest upside of anybody. He's just got to put it together. South Carolina loses a lot on defense and a lot of other offensive starters. They have really good defensive player and a really good quarterback. And outside of that, it's kind of So we'll see what South Carolina can do. 14 is Michigan, and I, for the life of me, do not understand why Michigan is this high. You have Bryce Underwood, a 5-star prospect who's probably going to be your starting quarterback. Hasn't even been announced yet, but they got nothing at receiver. They got decent running backs, but and they recruit well, and the defense will be okay. But man, I don't understand how you can put a team who couldn't throw a forward pass last year in the top 15. You're trusting a true freshman quarterback a lot. And while he's a 5-star, Dylan Raiola at Nebraska was a 5-star as well, and he had pretty big struggles last year. Showed glimpses, and that's not necessarily even a knock on Raiola. It takes more than 1 year to go from high school to football and take over, unless you are Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams. So I would say Michigan's more of a fringe top 25 team than they are a top 15 team. At 15, you got Florida. DJ Lagway. That's pretty much all I need to say. That guy, don't think he can come out this year, but he can come out next year. He's probably your number one QB prospect in 2 years. Dude's Cam Newton light, cannon of an arm, like 6'3", just built, can run fast. He's got to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, Florida's got a brutal schedule, but if Lagway's healthy, not a lot of teams I like more than Florida. SMU at 16. SMU took advantage of an easy schedule last year. They returned Kevin Jennings, who's a pretty good quarterback. If Kevin Jennings takes a step forward, SMU can make some noise. If Kevin Jennings is as good as he was last year, SMU is 8-4 or 9-3. 17 is Kansas State. You will see them in week 0, which next weekend, not this weekend, but next Saturday, you will wake up to college game day in college football. They are playing Iowa State in a game that is called Farmageddon for obvious reasons. And they have Avery Johnson, who again is another one of those quarterbacks that like super athletic, can run the hell out of the ball. You just need him to take a step forward in passing, and sky's the limit. Oklahoma at 18. Oklahoma brings in John Mateer, maybe, if he doesn't get suspended for potentially gambling. He kind of got caught on Venmo, sending a Venmo thing over, literally with gambling in the name. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't think much is going to happen with it. I think he plays. Not a whole lot of proof of anything. So you take that, and the NCAA is the NCAA. So they're whatever. They're basically a non-factor at this point. But Oklahoma's got a brutal schedule, and it's a make-or-break year for their head coach, Brent Venables. And Brent Venables, it's shit or get off the pot time. Let's put it that way. He needs to win. I'm not saying he needs to make the playoff, but he's got to win 9 games. If he doesn't win 9 games, he's probably not Oklahoma's coach next year. Texas A&M. Texas A&M is another one of your, I call them Georgia Light. They bring in those 5 stars. Mike Elko's a good coach, second-year coach, got more of his guys this year. SEC's loaded, so they have Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed, I know this is a broken record at this point, but Marcel Reed, freak athlete. Can he throw the ball? Marcel Reed can throw the ball. Look out for Texas A&M as a dark horse. 20 is Indiana. Indiana took advantage of a terrible Big Ten schedule last year. And their schedule is not that much better this year, but it's improved enough that we'll see what Cignetti can do with that this year. Also, fuck her, Cignetti, he's a douche. But Fernando Mendoza, Cal transfer at quarterback, much as I hate Cignetti, dude can coach. Seems to be a little bit of a quarterback whisperer, so we'll see what he can do with Mendoza. 21 is Ole Miss. Ole Miss had arguably a top 3 roster in college football last year and did not get to the playoff with it. Lane Kiffin is a good coach. I do trust Lane, but I don't know. He doesn't seem to be able to win the... He did beat Georgia last year, so I guess I can't say he can't win the big one, but he loses ones he shouldn't, like Kentucky, who had one SEC win last year. And that was Ole Miss. Their starting quarterback is Austin Simmons, who replaces Jackson Dart. Shout out the Giants. Austin Simmons came in relief in that Georgia game when Dart went down with an injury and led a touchdown drive. That's about all we know about Austin Simmons. But seems he's got the talent. Seems he can do what he needs to do. If he can do what he needs to do, that Ole Miss offense basically runs itself with the talent. 22 is Iowa State. They bring back Rocco Becht. He's a gritty quarterback. He can run, throw a little bit. He's got a little bit of whoopsie-daisy to him. He puts the ball in harm's way, but I urge people to watch Iowa State, and I know it's a weird thing to say, but Rocco Becht is must-watch TV whenever he takes the field because he's either going to light the world on fire or run backwards 15 yards and throw an interception. Either way, it's must-watch TV. That Iowa State-Kansas State game, as I alluded to earlier, Farmageddon, week 0, next Saturday in Ireland. That week 0 game is usually either hit or miss, and they have 2 ranked teams over there this year, so that's going to be kind of cool. Should be a fun game to watch. 23 is Texas Tech. Texas Tech, kind of out of nowhere, pulled NIL money out of nowhere, and they're spending big on their roster. They are in a wide open Big 12. Honestly, they should be in the Big 12 championship game with the roster they have and the money they've spent, but we'll see what happens. 24 is Tennessee. Tennessee, the big story with them is the whole Nico Amaliava situation where they claimed he wanted more money. He claimed he didn't like the system. He transferred to UCLA. And they bring in Joey Aguilar, who was the starting quarterback for Appalachian State last year, who was put up points but was not a very good team. So we'll see what Josh Heupel can do. Josh Heupel is a quarterback whisperer, and anyone who gets plugged into that Tennessee offense puts up numbers. So we'll see what Tennessee can manage this year. And then 25 is Boise State. They lose, obviously, Ashton Genty. They bring back their quarterback, Maddox Madsen, who was pretty decent for them last year. You kind of just trust the culture with Boise. They're more than likely your odds-on favorite to be the Group of 5 team in there in the playoff. Again, we'll see what they can do. We'll see how they replace Genty. We'll kind of see how that whole situation goes. But I've rambled on for long enough. Wanted to give you guys a little bit of a top 25 preview for college football. I talked to my Seahawks, and I ate my crow on the Brewers. So comment, subscribe, leave a like. Appreciate you guys tuning in.